Welcome to lesson 6.7, page 254, 55 in your Big Ideas book. Hopefully you've read those pages I ask you every single time. You know, if you do the things the way you're asked to do, you will find a greater level of success. Those of you who've been doing it that way for a long time have found other ways that might make it easier. But for those who are struggling, for those who are not achieving the level of success that they want, you might want to change what you're doing. Because the definition of insanity is doing it over and over and over in the same way, expecting a different result. You want a different result? You're going to have to do things a little differently. So today we're going to use simple interest formula to find different values in the formula. Well, and you'll understand that as we get to it. Our essential question, how can you find the amount of simple interest earned on an account owed or an account or on a loan? Interest earned on an account or owed on a loan. I guess I can read. Moving on. Notes on simple interest. Of course, you should know what interest is. I'm not going to write it down for you. It's in the book. Interest is the amount paid or earned for the use of money. You should know what principal is. P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E. It's principal, not principal. Principal, P-A-L, that's Miss Cahoon, our principal. But principal, that is the amount of money that we either borrow or that we deposit or loan to someone else. Okay? And that's the way that goes. We have our simple interest formula. I equals P R T. Okay? I like to call it I party, where I is the simple interest. And most likely it's the interest earned or the interest paid. Okay? We have P, which is the principal. That is the principal, again up here, amount of money that you either borrow or the amount of money that you deposit into an account. Okay? And then we have our interest rate. Interest rate is always in percent, but we have to use as a decimal. You know, when you want to do math with a percent, you have to change it to a decimal. And then, of course, we have T. And T is important because it's time, and it's in years. Time in years. Yes, I could give you a problem and has it in money. Yes, you could figure out a problem and it come out as months, and you have to convert it to years. You must use time in years for simple interest formula. So getting busy. You have you place $250 in a savings account, which earns 3% simple interest per year. What is the interest earned after 5 years? So we remember our simple interest formula. I party. I equals PRT. And what are we going to do? Well, our interest is equal to $250 times the interest rate, 3% as a decimal, 0.03, and times the number of years. They told us 5 years. That's awesome. So this is where you use your calculator. Plug, chug, boom, bang, bing. You put in the numbers and you get 37.5. And you're saying, well, that doesn't sound like money. Well, it's not, but you got to convert it to money. 37.5 is $37.50. Now you need to say, there could be a question that says, hey, what is the account balance after those 5 years? Well, that should be a simple little addition problem. The balance after 5 years is the $250 you put in it plus the $37.50 you earned over those 5 years. So your account balance is $287.50. Pretty easy stuff. They want to know the total amount in the account, or they want to know the account balance. All you got to do is add your simple interest to your principal. Let's do another one. Find the simple interest, $5,200 at 7.5% for 18 months. We remember I party. And we say 5,200 times our interest rate, 0.075 times 18 months. Now that's not years. And you're saying to yourself, oh, what am I going to do? But you have to convert it. You can convert it by either dividing 18 by 12 and saying that's 1.5, and you can put 1.5 there. Or, just because I'm using a calculator, I just multiply it by that 18 over 12. That is the amount of years. It's real easy. So I take my calculator and I plug in 5,200, I plug in 0.075, and I plug in 18. I multiply all those together and I get $7,020. I divide it by 12 because I have a calculator to do it for me, and I get 585. So that's $585 of simple interest earned if I put $5,200 into an account at 7.5% for 18 months. If I want to know the total amount in my account after those 18 months, all I got to do is take my 5,200, add the 585, and I get $5,785 in my account after those 18 months. Let's find the annual interest rate. 4 years ago, you deposited $350 into a savings account. During that time, you earned $98 simple interest. What is the annual interest rate? So, ladies and gentlemen, a couple ways you can do this. You know, what we learned way back in Unit 3, how to solve equations and formulas for a different variable. So if you take your I equals PRT, your I party, and you want to solve it for R, then you would divide by principal and time, and you would divide both sides by principal and time, and then you would get that your interest rate is equal to the interest earned divided by the principal times the time. And you just then plug in the numbers. That's not necessarily how I like to do it, but we're going to do it that way anyway because, yeah. So I would say $98 divided by my principal, 350, times the number of years, which it says 4 years ago. And when I multiply those numbers out, I would have 350 times 4, which would give me 1,400. And then when I divide 98 divided by 1,400, I get 0.07. Well, that tells me that I have a 7% simple interest rate. Now, I don't necessarily do that. I don't sit and spend time rewriting it all. I just fill in the numbers. In the original I equals PRT, I just say 98 equals 350 times my rate times my years, which was 4. And then I do the math here, and I would say that 350 times 4, well, that's again is 1,400. R equals 98, and then I divide by my 1,400. So I don't spend a lot of time rewriting. I can, or I use what I know about solving equations to just do it, because we know what 98 divided by 1,400 is, 7%. All right? You put $700 into a savings account. 8 years later, your account now has $924. What is the annual interest rate? Ooh. Look at the way it is. Your account now has $924. Is that the interest? So you got to find it. Again, I party says interest equals principal rate and time. We got to find the interest. So the interest right here, that's 924 minus the 700. What does that equal to? That equals the principal. Well, I put 700 bucks in. My interest rate R, and my time, 8 years. When I multiply here, I have 700 times 8. 700 times 8 happens to be 5,600 R. And 924 minus 700 is 224. And then I divide by 5,600, 5,600. And my interest rate is equal to 0.04, which is a 4% interest rate. Okay, so solving for interest rate and principal, that's the two we're going to do now. Obviously, when you come back, we're going to solve for some others in video number 2. Let's go to our quick write number 1. In part A1, find interest earned on $600 at 4.5% for 7 years. $600, 4.5%, 7 years, and then find the balance of the account. All right? After you're done with that, take a quick break, come back for video number